We're going to graph a system of inequalities, which is what we're doing in this chapter anyway. It's systems of equations where you have more than one equation. So number 14, when I'm going to graph my system of equations, what I'm going to do is graph each of these separately. But when I shade on Alex, I only want to shade the intersection. So what I would do is get out a piece of scratch paper and shade it on your scratch paper so that when you put it in Alex, you can pick out which one of the 4 sections to shade. Again, I'm just going to graph using my slope and my y-intercept. So on the first one, my y-intercept is at 2. My slope is -3. So down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. My line is going to be solid. Now when I shade this one, I'm shading greater than my y-intercept. So I'm shading here, which shades in this whole section over here. You wouldn't want to do that on Alex yet because you don't want all that shading by the time you're done, but I'm going to do it for my scratch paper. Then I'm going to do my other line. My other line, my y-intercept is at 5. My slope is 2. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. This line is going to be dashed. On this one again, I'm doing greater. Greater than that green line's up here, which shades all the stuff over here. However, on Alex, the only thing you want to shade is the part that got shaded twice in both of them. So the part that's going to get shaded on Alex is this part in this section right here. I shaded greater and greater, so up and up, and I ended up shading the part there in the middle. So when you look at the Alex program, when you draw the line, you're not going to see any shading over here, and you're not going to see the shading over here. But on your scratch paper, I would put it in there so you can kind of see what's going on. Number 15 then, I am graphing. Y is less than or equal to 2x minus 9. So my y-intercept is at -9. My slope is a +2. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. My line going to be a solid line. I am shading less than that line. So less than would be down from my line. If I were doing just that line, it would look like that. Then I'm going to do on my scratch paper the second one. My y-intercept is at +4. My slope is -3. So down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. My line is going to be dashed. This one says I'm shading greater than my line. So if I think about that green line, greater than would be up from that line. I would be shading all of this section over here. On Alex, the part that I'm going to shade is the part where they overlap. So I'm actually shading in this section right over here to the right. So you won't see any shading in here. You won't see any shading up here. You'll just see the final shading, or that's what you want to put on Alex, is that section over there to the right. So I shaded below one of my lines, above my other line, and it ended up overlapping here to the right. Number 16, graphing that system of linear inequalities. The top one, y is greater than or equal to negative 2x minus 7. So my y-intercept is at -7. My slope is -2, so I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Solid line. I want to shade greater than that line. So greater than that line means I'm shading above that line. Something like that. The second one, my y-intercept is at a +7. My slope is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. I can't keep going up and over. I only really need 2 dots, but if I wanted to, A positive 4 is the same thing as a negative over a negative. So I could go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and back 1. That should still line up on the same line. This one's going to be a dashed line. And then I want to do my shading. This one I want to shade less than. So if I'm less than, I'm going down. I'm shading everything this way from my green line. But on my final answer, again, I only want the part where they overlap, which again on this one happens to be this section way over here on the right. And so my graph ends up looking something like that. Now keep in mind, if they're both greater, I'm going up and up. It should be that top triangle. If they're both less, I'm going down and down. It should be the bottom triangle. If one's a greater and one's a less, it's either going to be on the left or the right, but you really don't know until you've graphed them and sketched out your graph to see where they end up intersecting, because it all depends on the slope of your line and all of that good stuff.